I think we got Carlos in the room, bro. So I
Yeah,
know Carlos.
we're running
If Richie, you're already in docket. Just let you know you're coming up next. If Carlos is here, man, I know I'm gonna toss it to you now, Ken. Great job, man. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you, man. Appreciate it, guys. Guys, listen, I've got a friend of mine that I had on Instagram Live. Carlos is a big time influencer in the world of real estate. I met this guy, dude. Every time he hops on Instagram Live, I'm on. I do this guy right here. As soon as we got off the call on the Instagram Live, dude, we swap phone numbers. And this guy right here I tell him he's my brother from another mother. Dude, I love his heart. I love it. Here's what I love about this guy. He's successful. Carlos, I want you to tell a little bit about your business. He's super successful, but guys, let me tell you what he does. And I see this over and over in his life. And Carlos, this is why I love you. This is why I wanted you to be a part of tonight, is the way that you have a heart to help other people who have been where you have been. Bro, take it away, my friend. Tell everybody about what you got.
Yes, sir. On, man. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you. Yep.
Okay, brother. So the first thing that I want to say is, thank you, brother, for putting me on here and just giving me the opportunity to try to impact lives, to try to impact lives, because you know what, whether we want to admit this or not, brother, 80% plus of society, of the world, we're hurting. We're hurting. How are we hurting? We have a job that we hate. We are in a relationship that we can't get out of. We haven't used our potential. We haven't maximized on our potential, right? We're hurting in some way, shape, or form. We're not living the abundant life that, God wants for us. We're not living the abundant life that we want for ourselves. And we're hurting and we're not doing nothing about it. We're dabbling, right? We're dabbling. And I just want to tell everybody a quick story. I'll summarize it with first and foremost, guys, I'm in beautiful Sedona right now. It's a Tuesday. It's only about, I don't even know what time it is here. I honestly don't know. I don't know what day it is today, and I don't know the time. That should tell you something about how my life is now, but it wasn't always like this. I'm in beautiful Sedona right now while my businesses are operating literally on autopilot, okay? I can tell you a brief story. I was born in Mexico, okay? My mother brought us to this country literally illegally twice. The first time through TJ, through a sewer system. We got caught. Then we tried again and finally broke through. Went to a small town called Escondido, California. Okay, lasted 2 years. You know how difficult it is for a single mother to survive in California? It's very expensive there, especially when you're working in the fields. She was working in the fields. That's how she got her paperwork, her immigration paperwork was through amnesty, right? So let me say this. We failed in a matter of literally 2 years, too expensive, single mom, didn't speak English, worked the field, back to Mexico. Then, guess what I started doing? By the way, my first entrepreneur job was literally door-to-door bread sales in Mexico. My second job came right after we went back. I became a bag boy. I was bagging groceries in Mexico. I was bagging groceries. My mother worked at the resorts at a small town called San Carlos Bay. She worked cleaning rooms, and we were both trying to gather enough money to make our second attempt at the American dream, because we knew that there wasn't anything for us in Mexico but poverty. Guys, you guys have to understand, where I live, the roads were made out of dirt. We literally took baths out of a bucket. We had a freaking what do you call this? The outhouses, the back houses where you go to the restroom in the back. We hung our clothes. In like these, these hangers, like these wires in the backyard. We had a washing board to wash our clothes. That was my life. And my mom wanted more for me and for my brother. Okay, so I'm saying I'm a bag boy. I'm bagging groceries and I'm making tips. And she's working the resorts, cleaning the hotel rooms. We put enough money together to get her on a bus back to Phoenix, Arizona. And then she works her ass off in the fields, 120-degree weather now. And it's not as cool as it is in California. Now she's in 120-degree weather, just thinking about her sons. I need to get them over here, to give them a shot, because I know that there's nothing in Mexico. So she finally puts enough money together, gets me over here first. I snuck through a fence in Nogales, Sonora. She paid a coyote $25. She made a $25 investment in me or with someone. I jump through this fence. We meet at McDonald's. She contrabands me here to Phoenix, Arizona. I'm in Sedona now. I'm only about 2 hours away from Phoenix, enjoying, Sedona is a vortex. So I'm here to do some internal work. I'm here to do some sound healing. I'm here to do some meditation. I'm here to work with my self-mastery coach, Jeremy Wilson. So I'm here to do a lot of internal work, right? But I'm telling you, Phoenix, Arizona, boom, we get here. And she has to work like an Asian person. And no disrespect, Asians are some of the hardest working people ever, right? She has to work 3 jobs for us to even survive, for us to even make ends meet as a single mother, right? She's working at the airport at night. She's working for a school in the cafeteria in the morning. And she has a part-time job during the day. This lasted, I would say, maybe 8 to 10 years, until we became young men and we can fend for ourselves. But I'll tell you what, her efforts are extremely valued and honored. I retired her in 2017. She doesn't even pay for her phone bill. She has everything that she's ever going to need for the rest of her life. Glory to God for that, right? She has her car. She has her house. She has her insurance. She has everything. She doesn't pay one bill because of her efforts, right? My story is this. It took me 15 years to become a citizen of this country. My paperwork started in 1997, and then I first got a work permit, and then I got a residence, it's called a green card, a permanent residence card, and then I became a citizen. I did it the right way. It was a long process. I paid a lot of money, right? Between her and I, however we could scrape it up, but we did it. And I worked in corporate America for 12 plus years. I climbed my way all the way to the top, hit the ceiling, and I thought I had security. I want to ask this question. How many of you still have a 9-to-5 job? How many of you still have a 9 to, don't be ashamed, by the way. I was there for over a decade. How many of you still have a 9-to-5 job? Yes. Alex Y says yes.
Yeah, if you've got a 9-to-5, type it in the chat section real quick.
Renato says yes, right? Bruce says yes. Shanika says yes. Jason Rivera says yes. There's so many yeses. Mm-hmm. And you know what, guys? I'll be honest with you. A lot of my ambition has been driven from pain, right? Unfortunately, my ambition and my commitment has been driven from pain. And guess what? I don't want your ambition to be driven from pain. But the fact of the matter is that nothing changes if nothing changes. How many of you want financial freedom? How many of you want to live life on your terms? How many of you don't want to worry about, I don't even know what my bills are. I think my monthly expenses as far as just bills alone, between cars and the estate that my family lives in, we're probably between 12 to 15 grand a month. I remember I used to make at one point $2,000 a month, and then $3 grand a month, and $4 grand a month, and $5 grand. At one point, the highest I ever made in a corporate structure was $70,000. Guys, I don't remember since July of 2016, which was our first six-figure month in real estate, flipping houses. By the way, we started with almost no money down. I started with bandit signs, okay? So let me just say this. Since July of 2016, that was our first 6-figure month. And I don't remember, in corporate America, I used to make $70,000 a year, right? With bonuses and overtime and salary, right? I used to have to work my ass off 70 plus hours a week just to get overtime, because overtime was paid time and a half. And I did that. Guys, in 12 years, I cashed in every single vacation that was given to me. After my first year, I had 1 week. After my third year, I had 2 weeks. After 5 years, I had 3 weeks. And after 7 years, I had 4 weeks, and I cashed them all in. You guys want to know why I cashed them all in, guys? Just to try to get ahead. I couldn't even take vacations with my family. That's not freedom. That's survival. That's not the way we're supposed to live life, guys. But you know what? The sad part is, by the way, and many of you are wondering, so what happened? Like, how, Carlos? How did you leave your over a decade corporate job, your comfy job with the 401k and an IRA, right? And insurance that the company for the most part paid for most of it. What did it take for you to leave? Guess what? More pain. I trained 4 years for a position. The guy, I was already next in line. The guy screwed me over with his best friend that wasn't even interviewing for the position. More pain, right? So a lot of it's sad to say, but human beings, we need enough pain to change our ways, right? Nothing changes if nothing changes. And what I want to say to everybody who has a 9-to-5 job out there is the following: until the pain is great, until you're willing to admit that your pain is great enough and it forces you to change, you will not change until the pain is greater, until the pain is greater than your commitment to change. Because we all know how painful it is to change. We all know how painful it is to commit. We all know how painful it is to make sacrifices. That's right, sacrifices with our family, sacrificing our hobbies, sacrificing television, sacrificing the way that we live life and our programming for, for as long as we've been alive, sacrificing our friends, sacrificing the opinions of others, right? None of us are willing to make the sacrifices. You have to make a decision at some point.
Carlos, let me ask you a question real quick. What was the tipping point for you? Like when you're walking through all this and you're in corporate America, and guys, think about it from this perspective. Corporate America for Carlos making 70 grand was a win from where he came in at. Bro, you came in bagging groceries.
Brother, I absolutely.
That's a win.
You know what's crazy, guys, and I say this all the time, right? Corporate America it's a modern day cage. And let me just say this. I was very comfortable in my cage. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Why? They fed me well. I had insurance. I had security, right? I had a house, a mortgage. I had a car or cars. I had everything that you need, everything that you need. But again, guys, it was just survival. I wanted more for my life. Right. I wanted more for myself. I wanted more for my family, and I wanted to serve people.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. Was it a family thing for you, Carlos? Did you kind of look at that and just go, you know what? I want my mom to be taken care of. I saw you a couple weeks ago on Instagram talking about your home and some of the things you were able to give your wife and your mom. What was the catalyst for you to be able to go, you know what? Because what happens is people feel trapped and they're afraid to take that step.
Well, listen, I wanted more for I wanted more for me. I wanted more for my family. I deserved more. They deserved more. I worked too hard to continue to make millions of dollars for somebody else while I was only making $70,000 a year. I'm bringing the owner of that company, $250,000 to $300K every month, which is, $1 million or whatever every single year. And you're paying me $70,000. And I have to actually work overtime and get bonuses and blah, blah, blah. Right.
Grand. Hey, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this question real quick, Carlos. We got a couple minutes before we bring our next guy on. Let me ask you this question. Like, so you stepped out of the security. Like you did not know security.
That was painful.
Tried to smuggle your way into the United States. 12 years, 15 years to become a citizen. You finally arrive. You're in corporate America, but yet there's something inside of you. So when you made that step to be able to go, you know what, I want to do something different with my life. Give our audience right here, what was one or two hurdles that you had to go over to go from where you were? And I know you mentioned $1 million a month 3 or 4 years ago. The first month you guys did over $1 million. What were a couple hurdles you had to overcome in getting, not just from corporate America, but you're out of corporate America. You've started your own business. What are some of the biggest hurdles you faced getting to where you are today?
I think the first thing that I needed to overcome was fear. Believe it or not, guys, And you know what's crazy, Ken? Everybody in this webinar, they're here for a reason. They want more out of life. They want more out of life. They're tired. They're sick and tired of living the way that they're living. And I'm not judging anybody because I've been there. When I mean that, if anybody who here, I'm a father. I have a 7-year-old and I have a 1.5-year-old. You know what another painful thing was, right? Yes, fear was one of them. But brother, I cried from the frustration of not being successful. It hurt so much to not be successful. Why? Because I didn't want to be where my daughter turned 16 years old in high school and says, Daddy, can I have a car to get to high school? I did not want to say, no, MJ, I'm sorry, we can't afford it. I didn't want to say that.
You heard somebody. I want to ask you this question. I heard this earlier. One of the guys asked me this question earlier. When I was talking about the floors, about going from one floor to the next floor in your business and identifying the ceilings. How important has it been for you to have mentors and people that were 3 or 4 steps ahead of you in business?
I'm with a mentor right now. Guys, I came up here. Listen, I want to first and foremost thank the Lord because he's given, I will say this, guys, the beautiful part is wherever you are in life, I didn't know this. I thought that I was just absolute miserable going through my job, but guess what I was learning? I was learning business. I was learning management. I was learning development. I was learning scheduling. It was my school. I started working at such a young age. Guys, I didn't know that I was there for a reason. These things were happening for me, not to me. When I left that job, I knew for a fact that I can build my own company because of everything that I learned at that corporation. Right?
Guys, listen, this is the one thing, hang on one second, Carl. This is the one thing I love about Carl. Did you hear what he just said? He said, these things were happening for me, not to me. And you heard his story. Dude, every time I hear you share your story, I feel the anguish. I can feel the pain in your story. And I mean, it's easy when people look at you now and you've got 500,000 followers on Instagram. You guys are making millions of dollars a month. Your business is growing. You're one of the top real estate guys in the country. People are looking at you. But dude, when I hear your story every time, I'm like, bro, like that's
because
pain.
You know what, brother? First and foremost, I love people and I don't want them to have to endure what I had to endure.
Come on,
they don't have
Come
to.
on, man.
They don't have to, right? They're here for a reason. They're here for a purpose. People just don't randomly say, you know what? I'm going to sign up to this thing and see what happens. No, they sign up to these things because they want more. And they know that they deserve more and they want more for their families. And they want to be able to live the one life that they have. I don't care if you're 70 years old in this chat, okay? There's a Cuban lady that broke the swimming record. She broke from Cuba to Florida and she was like 60-something years old. Look it up. Look it up. Her name is Dana something. You're never too young and you're never too old to start. Trust God's timing and trust your timing. But you have to make a decision. All right. And let me just close it out with this because I know we're running out of time. Okay. And yes, I believe in mentorship. I'm here with a mentor right now. I have a billionaire mentor. His name is Ed Cobell. He's the CEO of DiBartolo Development. I have a spiritual mentor. His name is Christian Ferris.
4931.
I have a spiritual mentor. His name is Christian Ferris. He runs a church in Tampa. And I have my own pastor at Vineyard Church in Phoenix, Arizona. And I have a self-mastery. I have mentors. And I learned so much from them. And I'm never, God willing, I'm never going to stop having mentors. But I just want to say this, guys. The success formula that I've developed, the success formula that I've really taken into account, it doesn't change for any entrepreneur, guys. Ready? Literally make a decision on what you want out of life. My decision was I want to be successful. It's painful, it's too painful not to be. And then you have to commit. You have to commit to that decision. Okay? And then you have to make sacrifices because you're going to get hit with everything, right?
I love it, man.
And then you have to persevere, which means you never quit. You only fail when you quit, guys. If you don't quit, I don't care if you're not successful, you're not a failure. Guess what? Because you only fail when you quit. That's it.
I love it, man.
If you don't
Nate's got a
quit, you're
question.
going to win.
Hey,
Nate's
Carlos.
got a question for you.
Hey,
Real
Carlos.
quick,
My name's Nate, man. I'm one of Ken's best friends. I'm the MC of the Ghost Track Jive. Serve on his team. One of the things
Hey,
you
Nate,
said
how
that I
you
think
doing?
resonates with everybody on here, and I'm reading the comments like you are, Carlos, right? And it's like you said this
I'm
term that
trying to keep up. I'm
no,
trying to
I'm
keep
just
up.
saying, no, I know. One of the things that's been expressed a lot is people are experiencing pain. You said it. 80% of people are going through some type of pain. So early on, when you're making your transition and making decisions, what in the morning when you woke up and you had this reality, you had this pain, you had this internal thought. So a lot of people when they're in pain right now, they're trying to figure out what foot they got to get out of bed. Then they got to figure out what they got to put in front of the other one, or if they actually can do something with it. What was that internal thought or that fortitude that you had, the internal thought to overcome that pain, and what action did it drive?
I have to say this, pain and fear, you're going to be overwhelmed with pain and fear, guys. And you know what? I can tell you from experience from a guy that completely collapsed in 2017 with anxiety and depression because I took on too much. I have over 26 businesses and they're all delegated. I have departments for every single organization. We have an organization, for God's sakes. But let me tell you this, I grew so quickly and I took on so much. I didn't have the capacity at that time. This is why I have mentors. I didn't have the capacity, so I crashed with anxiety and depression. But you know what? Just like, because our minds, they're the most powerful thing on this earth, right? We can manifest and create anything and everything that we really put our minds to. So when it starts working against you, which for a lot of people here, it will start working against you. Oh, you can't do this. And oh, give up now. Go back to your job. That's you're going to have these thoughts. I had to mind, I'm going to curse here because I have to. I am a Christian man, but I had to mind fuck myself. Hey, Carlos, if you can make it through this, you're going to fucking fly. If you can make it through this, you're going to fucking fly. Get through this. You got this. Get through this. I had to mind fuck myself because my mind is the most powerful weapon that I have on this earth, and it was being used against me. I was using my own mind against me, and I had to get through. By every counterproductive thought that I had to counter it with positive thoughts. No, you got this. Shut up. I'm in control here.
What's good about it is like, what I love is you have this internal fortitude that you've expressed so many times in your story. What I love is a lot of people will share their story, but their actions don't align with the fact that they overcome their tragedies or their pain. But what we've seen is your results speak for the fact of what you actually have done before to get where you're at today. And even that thing is that when you had to mindfuck yourself and you had to actually create a new reality in which even it wasn't your reality, you had to create a new reality and drive your actions towards that. And then I just want to thank you for being a part, man. Carlos, the contribution you gave tonight has been epic. I don't know. Hey, can we all give Carlos just a freaking big.
Carlos, I love you, buddy. I love you, bro.
Love you guys. Love you guys.
Man, it's been awesome.
Ken, let me say this, guys. Guys, everybody here, I love people. I love humanity. I've been through so much that, things in your life, your heart changes, your soul changes. So I feel for a lot of people's pain. And let me just say this, okay? Your current situation is not your final destination. You make sure you remember that. You make sure you remember that, okay? Love you guys. Thank you for having me on.
Love you, buddy.
Thanks so much, man.
Thank you. Thank you, brother.